This year's legislative session is officially halfway over. Come with me inside the Capitol as we take a look at what's really going on. So before you hit the road to go to different cities this weekend, be sure to stop by local businesses in the area to check out their deals for tax-free weekend. For 7 News, I'm Mark Lowe. So before you hit the trails this summer, remember, you need to have a few things with you. Protection from the sun, sunscreen, and above all else, water. Reporting from the Wichita Mountains, I'm Mark Lowe for 7 News. And now nearly 30 years later, Oklahoma City is still moving on, and every year takes a day to remember April 19th. Emma, Perla, we're at the scene of Northwest 33rd Street in Santa Fe, where Edmund crews are still working to put the power lines back up. Homecoming events this week just keep on rolling. As you can see behind me here, there's a bunch of runners getting ready to do a 5K all the way across campus. All of these events are leading up to Saturday's big game against Missouri Southern. Joining me right now is event coordinator Jason Poudrier. Jason, what can families expect whenever they come out tonight?
It's a beautiful spring day out here, as it was 28 years ago today, 1995. We're right where I am standing, so the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building here in downtown Oklahoma City, where hundreds of Oklahomans were going to work that day, but 168 of them would not come home that night.
Absolutely. And if you guys do not know what these are our red booklets, which can be found in pretty much every room, classroom on campus. Inside is what to do in every type of emergency situation, all the way from trips, slips, and falls, even down to severe weather. The solar eclipse is over, and now millions of people have these eclipse glasses that are just not sure what to do with. A lot of people just throw them away or have them sitting around the house. But Marie, I gotta ask you, I know we're talking about April Fools and it's a joke, but I'm looking at those storm chances and I'm starting to think that's not really much of a joke. How likely are we to see severe storms in the Edmond area today? April 19th, 1995, a date that sits heavy in the heart of many Oklahomans, and now 29 years later, hundreds gather here between the gates of time, the reflection pool, and the survivor tree to look back at a scar that spans nearly 3 decades old.
Side of the federal building has been blown off.
We've got a lot of children right over here at the YMCA also. I've got 6 to 7 people down.
For many Oklahomans, the sights and sounds of the ruined Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building that was targeted as an act of terrorism is ingrained in their memories. That day, as thick black smoke rose into the Oklahoma sky, the Oklahoma Standard shined bright through first responders, survivors, Good Samaritans, all Oklahomans. Bonds were formed in the ashes, and now 29 years later, those who were there that spring day return to remember those who couldn't.
It's about bringing a community together and coming to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. But it really is what we're doing, is bringing people together to remember what happened here. For the survivors, it's about coming together and being with friends and family. And for the first responders and police and fire, that's something they should have never had to ever do in their work in Oklahoma City. And it's about teaching the impact of violence and making sure people understand the senselessness of it.
That violence attacked the heart of Oklahoma City, leaving a scar that the whole world could see through their TV screens, newspapers, and magazines. However, over time, scars heal, and instead of trying to pave over the tragedy, the city embraced it. And since then, people from around the world have come to the hallowed ground downtown to pay their respects.
Out of this tragedy, the city and the state has grown, it's flourished. And I can't think of a better way to honor the memory of my aunt and all the others by remembering the positives, that we are really closer than we are separate.
For the victims, their families, and those changed forever, standing side by side after such a horrific attack shows the world that Oklahomans are one. The unity between all who were affected is still strong after all these years, and they are always willing to tell their story of trial, tribulation, and perseverance.
We must each be ambassadors of kindness, peace, love, and understanding, emissaries of better conversations. We must be willing and able to challenge words of dehumanization, words that cast fellow Americans as enemies. The path to violence is paved with such words, and I ask you to step into and repair the breach.
For it's through the breach that violence once reared its ugly head at Oklahoma City 29 years ago that caused an event that millions will remember forever. And now nearly 30 years later, Oklahoma City is still moving on, and every year takes a day to remember April 19th. And just a few feet away from me, written on the wall, is the words of those victims and their families. We search for the truth. We seek justice. The courts require it. The victims cry for it, and God demands it. From the beating heart of downtown Oklahoma City, I'm Mark Lowe, U Central News.